Although Jeffrey Epstein is now dead, some of those who allegedly helped participate in his crimes are still around and facing accusations, and Prince Andrew is now one of those. Virginia Roberts Giuffre, an alleged victim of the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, on Monday filed a lawsuit against the prince in federal court in New York. She accused the British royal of sexually abusing her at Epstein's mansion in Manhattan and at other locations back in 2001 when she was under the age of 18, according to court records. Prince Andrew has denied having sex with her. Now, her attorney says if she doesn't do it now, she would be allowing him to escape any accountability for his actions. And Virginia is committed to trying to avoid situations where rich and powerful people escape any accountabilities for their actions. So to gloss over a little bit, there are statutes of limitations considerations. They generally are extended when the crimes were done when someone was underage. But that said, they're still trying to make sure that during the window that is available, that this can be investigated. So let's talk a little bit about the lawsuit. It says 20 years ago, Prince Andrew's wealth, power, position, and connections enabled him to abuse a frightened, vulnerable child with no one there to protect her. It is long past the time for him to be held accountable. And back in 2019, he said that he never had sex with Virginia Giuffre, saying it didn't happen. He said he had no recollection of ever meeting her and told an interviewer that there are a number of things that are wrong with her account. That said, there is this picture available with her and with Prince Andrew back in 2001 where, and I remember people talking about this when it came out, it's incredibly disturbing because she not only looks like she might be his daughter there, she looks like she might be his particularly young daughter there. But that is allegedly at one of these meetings involved in the lawsuit. So, Yasmin, what do you make of this?
I commend Virginia for sticking to her guns in the name of justice. I think that's something that a lot of, especially women, but I'm sure a lot of people, men and women and the other involved, it's one of those things where you kind of get used to seeing really terrible things happen to innocent people, and then nothing happens to the people who offended them or assaulted them, or in this case, had sex with them underage, et cetera, whatever else goes on in Epstein Island. I wasn't there, I wouldn't know. But the statute of limitations is particularly frustrating. I get why it's a thing that we have in place, but in this particular case, it's indicative of a much bigger problem that needs to be addressed and cannot be allowed to be swept under the rug, which is what's been happening this entire time. We have all these big exposés that come out about these big sex crime rings, and then nothing really comes from it beyond that. It causes big stir in the media. All of the people are upset about it on whatever side of the aisle you sit on, and then nothing comes from it. Because the powers that be, the people at the top, whoever it is who are protecting these people, are successful in doing so. It feels very corrupt. It probably is. I don't want to go into any conspiracy theories, but everyone's in cahoots with everyone. And it's hard for a regular average person who has been victimized to even have a voice or have any kind of representation whenever it comes to something like that. And then to have a chance at getting justice seen through.
Yeah, look, I don't think that implying that there's corruption is you getting into conspiracy theories. This isn't QAnon. I mean, we know the process with Epstein. It was incredibly corrupt. Yeah. With Prince Andrew, I don't know. I am going into this process in the stance that I assume Virginia Giuffre probably is. He's a prince; he'll be protected. That's what I would imagine their expectation is. I guess you go for the closest approximation of justice that is available to you, which might be miles away in this case, but at least it is being talked about, this experience that she says that she had. And I want to give a little bit of a statement that she provided to ABC News saying, "I'm holding Prince Andrew accountable for what he did to me. The powerful and the rich are not exempt from being held responsible for their actions. I hope that other victims will see that it is possible not to live in silence and fear, but one can reclaim her life by speaking out and demanding justice." She said she feared death or physical injury to herself or another, and other repercussions for disobeying Epstein, Maxwell, and the prince because of their powerful connections, wealth, and authority. And that seems very reasonable. Like a person who has this long string of rapes doesn't seem like you'd be irrational to be afraid that they would disappear someone as well on their private islands with their private planes, with politicians being willing to sweep anything under the rug. That seems like a very reasonable fear there. So
Yeah.
any other thoughts, Yasmin?
Yeah, this is just indicative of something that so many victims are familiar with. How many women have been, or men and women who have been accused or have been victimized by sexual assailants, and they don't say anything because nothing will come from it. And then at worst, or sometimes they're the ones who are bearing the brunt of coming forward. They're the ones who suffer consequences for coming forward and for challenging these authority figures. Whenever somebody is victimized by somebody more powerful than them, a lot of times they don't want to come forward because whatever they say is going to get misconstrued in the media. They're going to be picked apart in the media. People are going to call them liars. People are going to diminish their experiences and tell them that what actually happened wasn't what you experienced. You're overreacting, all these things. Sometimes people lose relationships, they lose jobs over things like that. It is a strong move to come out against somebody like Prince Andrew and the whole Epstein, cohort, let's call it, all those people, everyone who's involved with this, and the royal family. That's a big deal. Prince Andrew has been protected largely throughout this entire scandal, and it would be nice to see that not happen anymore.
I agree. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.